The Baskerville family's hound, named Victor Van Baskerville, served the family, and he was loyal to his family and father. He was falsely charged and framed for associating with the Demon Clan, and he was sentenced to the guillotine. At the guillotine, he decided that if he was given an opportunity to live again after he caught the rabbit, which is his prey, he wouldn't like to live as a hound again. He eventually dies, and as his last breath stops, he wakes up as a baby at the hospital. He still has the memory of his old life, and he looks around, wondering where he is. He sees that his body is heavy and his surrounding is loud, and he considers if he is in hell. He turns out he has been reincarnated as a little child at the grand estate of the Baskerville family. While he wonders where he is, the Baskerville family patriarch, Hugo Le Baskerville, comes there, and he calls the kids insignificant brats. He tells the midwives that there are no special children in the kids that have been gathered, and he thinks they have only gathered trash at that period. As Hugo passes beside him, he stops and says he is a little bit quieter than the other trash. He commands the maids to move the children to the Cradle of Swords, and they prepare to do so. Vicar immediately recognizes Hugo as the main culprit of his framing and execution. However, looking at Hugo again, he sees that the appearance of Hugo that he is seeing is his younger appearance. He raises his hands up and checks further until he is really certain of what he is saying. He informs that he has regressed to the time when he was a baby. He knows he has lived his past life as a hound. He was born into an illegitimate family, and he received training in a poor environment. As per his training, he knows a hound must be devoted to his mission, like assassination, intelligence, ambush, threatening, and any other mission. As a hound, he needs to take care of all kinds of dirty work, and everything is done in order to make the Baskerville family the best of the 7 families. The reason he had remained loyal to his duty was simple. All he wanted was to be acknowledged by the family and Hugo. About 10 years after the gate to the demonic realm opened, the fight against demons ended with humans winning the fight. The reward that was given to him, the loyal hound who served the family his whole life, was to be killed. There was just a reason why he was executed, and the reason was that he knew too much. He promises himself, looking at the new opportunity he has gotten, that he will never live that kind of life again. He says he wants his revenge immediately, but with the body of a newborn baby, there is really nothing he can do. However, he feels being moved to the Cradle of Swords is a good opportunity for him to become strong, and the only important thing to him at the moment is for him to become stronger. He remembers how the Cradle of Sword is. In their family, children born into the Baskerville must go through one trial. They are thrown into a maze of swords, and after going through that, they need to get to the Styx River to be examined for their talents. The Styx River is a legendary river that turns the bodies of children into iron. However, there is a limit to how many children it can affect. So in order to get to the Styx River first, he needs to head straight out of the helix-shaped wall of blades. In his past life, he was ousted by his siblings, and he couldn't receive the effect. But he will ensure that wouldn't be the case for him this time around. He decides he will monopolize the Styx River's blessing for as long as he can. He is inside the water, and he sees the water seeping deep into his body and bones through his cuts. He is glad that the beginning of this version of his life is actually great, and he feels having a great start will make such a big difference in his journey. He remains inside the water in hopes of enduring the pressure for as long as he can. He promises himself that no matter how painful it is for him at the moment, he will endure it all. The servants get concerned because he has been inside the water for a long time. They call out for him, telling him that he needs to come out, and if he stays underwater for a long time, he will die. They realize he isn't ready to come out, so they prepare to enter and bring him out. Hugo is interested in how things are going. He asks his butler, Barrymore, how long Vicar has been inside the river, and Barrymore says about 7 minutes has passed. Barrymore is the head butler of the Baskerville family. Hugo feels that since Vicar has spent 7 minutes in the water, if he stays any longer, he may die. So Hugo goes nearer to the river and asks Vicar to come out. Vicar hears the voice inside the river and figures it's Hugo's voice. He wonders if Hugo thinks he will come out of the river that easily. He still feels the need to absorb more power and energy from the river, and he says he will absorb everything as much as he can until the end. Unfortunately, there is a limit to what his body can accept. He starts coughing, and he starts sinking. Despite that, he still remains determined to ensure everything and get more stronger. Left with no other choice, Hugo enters the river and drags him by his leg. He wonders what is different in Vicar because it turns out being in the river wasn't enough for Vicar, and he has even drank the water. Hugo sees that Vicar already has teeth. He gets more interested in the child, and he asks Barrymore what the child's name is. So Barrymore tells him the child is Vicar Van Baskerville. He looks at Vicar and says it seems like a very greedy child has been born. He tells Vicar to enjoy the situation as much as he can. At the same time, Vicar feels he needs to use the time he has to sharpen his canines silently so that when it is time for him to rip off Hugo's head, he will do so, and the entire family will disappear into history. He threatens that it is by his hands that the family will get destroyed. Some years ago, when Vicar was 8 years of age, he was talented enough to be called a genius, but he was considered an ordinary member of his family. At the age of 20, he took on the assassination, espionage, and conquest-type missions. At 29 years of age, he felt that he had reached his limit in swordsmanship compared to those of direct lineage. At 30, the gate leading to the demonic realm opened, which marked the beginning of the demon clan's invasion of the world. At the age of 35, he endured through the war of destruction, slaughtering monsters left and right. At 39 years of age, the long war finally came to an end with the victory of the human realm. At 40, he was rewarded by the family for his loyalty to the family, and the reward he got was defamation, false accusation, and the guillotine's blade. After he leaves the river, they carry him to a place that he recognizes as the nursery. He remembers that if he is at the nursery, it means he has successfully absorbed the Styx River. In this life, he has a better starting point than in his former life. The maid comes in holding an item, and she complains, asking why Madam wants that kind of thing on Vicar's bed. He wonders who the madam is and says he is sure no one will give him, a bastard, any type of gift. The maid drops the box, and immediately she turns to leave. The box starts opening on its own. Some dark air flows from the box, and he sees a snake coming out of the box. He recognizes the snake as a bloody mamba, and he tries to crawl away from it. There are 2 different snakes in the box, and he wonders if the madam has sent the rare vipers to assassinate him. He says there are only a few members of their Baskerville family that can be called a madam, and whoever the madam is, she is probably trying to kill him to reduce competition. He feels when the vipers are done with him. They can also kill all the babies in the nursery. He holds the throat of the vipers. He threatens that no one can hold him this time around because he will bring the entire family down with his own hands. He kills the vipers and throws them by his bed. The following day, all the members of Baskerville come to the nursery to check on the kids, and they are all shocked when they see a child sleeping peacefully next to 2 dead vipers. All the nannies who had been on shift that night were executed after being tortured, but the reason for the vipers' appearance was unknown, and only the young hound, Vicar, knows the truth. 8 years later, he has grown into a young boy, and he is taking lessons along with the other young masters. That day, they are taking a course about the levels of swordsmanship, and their teacher narrates that any one of them who can't yet imbue the sword with mana is considered a sword beginner. At the level where they can infuse the blade with a little bit of mana, they will be called sword experts, and when the blade emits mana in liquid like aura form, that's when they are called sword graduator. The last level at which the aura is solid and the form can freely be changed is called Sword Master. The strongest of the Baskervilles, Hugo, is at the Sword Master level. All the students are amazed by Hugo's strength. Vicar, however, considers that if Hugo was already a Sword Master at that point in time, it means he needs to regain the power he had prior to his regression before the coming-of-age ceremony. The teacher notices that he is lost in thoughts, and it looks like this not the first time it's happening. The teacher thinks about him. He feels Vicar has earned a strong physique by diving in the Styx River for 7 minutes, and he only needs to teach him one thing for him to learn 100 things. The teacher says Vicar is more talented than the others and feels Hugo will be very happy to know his progress. He doesn't know that the thoughts that fill Vicar's mind are how many years he needs for him to kill Hugo. Right after the class, some of the noble boys try to bully him. They call him the garbage van and push him. They claim they have been hearing some weird rumors about Vicar, and the rumor says he dived into the Styx River for 7 minutes and he also strangled 2 vipers when he was a baby. Vicar doesn't answer them. He knows the boys too well. They are the same ones who had stabbed him when he was running after his defamation. They are called Hugo le Baskerville's Tridents. He tells them the rumors are untrue, but they ask him to stop lying. The boys are Highborough le Baskerville, Middleborough le Baskerville, and Lowborough le Baskerville. They are all 9 years of age. Middleborough says he doesn't like Vicar, and his brothers agree too. Vicar knows the kids are going to be a real pain in the ass in just 10 years, and it might be a good idea for him to put them in their place now that they are still young. One of them brings out a sword and tells Vicar that if he stayed in the Styx River for a long time, his body would become like steel, which means blades can't injure Vicar. He says he is sure Vicar won't die even if he is stabbed. They signal to each other, and Lowborough goes to hold Vicar by his mouth so he wouldn't shout. He says he doesn't care if Vicar has spent 7 minutes in the river. He will eat his ass if Vicar survives without breathing for 3 minutes. Vicar looks at them angrily. He admits to the rumors that children are cruel, but he decides to play along with their stupidity for a while. The others claim there is no way the rumors they have been hearing are true. They hold his hands to stop him from breathing for a minute, and he hasn't dropped dead. For 3 minutes, he remains standing. They continue for 10 minutes, and they realize the rumor may actually be true. Highborough and Middleborough feel the game is no longer fun, and they tell Lowborough to let Vicar go. When Lowborough removes his hand, he sees he is the one injured. They see that Vicar has bitten Lowborough's hand, and they ask Vicar what he is doing. He asks them if the reason they kept their hands on his mouth isn't for him to eat it. The others claim they aren't scared of him and there is nothing he can do to them. But Loboro is scared and terrified. He tells his brothers that he got his finger bitten off, so they calm him down and say they will go to ask the priest to put it back. As they are about to go, Vicar asks them who released them to go. They try to fight back, telling him that they are a year older than him and they are stronger. They try to stab him, but to their shock, the blade can't penetrate. He addresses them and says they are the ones who seem to forget that they are all Baskerville, and that in their family, power and talent overcome age. He holds Highborough's hand and he twists it. He tells them they don't have to run and they have to keep playing until the end. They get terrified, seeing the way he is squeezing their hand. They realize that the rumors they have been hearing are actually true. He kicks Highborough and he falls. His brothers scream his name in anger, and Middleborough decides not to accept defeat. He goes ahead to hit and fight Vicar. Vicar hits him too and tells them that they should not be too scared because they will get better in no time when they are treated. However, the issue is he won't allow them to leave that room, let alone get treated. And he is sure they will have to leave the room with the discomfort of their own bodies. Eventually, he decides that he will be generous and allow one of them to leave. They are excited, and they ask him which one of them he wants to release, but he tells them they have to decide for themselves which one deserves to do. He insists he can't wait for long, so they don't have more than enough time, and they should decide quickly because at least one of them should live. They realize that there is a probability that at least two of them may die, so they come together to decide who will leave. As you know, such decisions are not easy to reach, and as time goes on, the Triton of Baskerville starts to split. Whereas the butler goes to report to Hugo that there was another bloody situation with the Morgue clan in the Ruby Mines, he says that the Morgue's clan is stating that the Ruby Mine is their territory. However, Hugo tells Barrymore that an opportunity to discuss the matter will come soon because the Morgue clan will seek them first. He asks Barrymore if there is another report, and he tells him that there is a news regarding the interim evaluation of the juvenile fortress. Barrymore narrates that Vicar has scored the highest on the student's written examination, and Hugo is impressed. He asks Barrymore when the practical examination for the children at the juvenile fortress is, and Barrymore informs him that it is in 5 days. He says the Guardian Knights have also vacated the premises in preparation for the physical examination, and by 5 days, the fortress will be completely vacant. Barrymore tells him there is another matter of urgency that he needs to inform him about the juvenile fortress. He reports that there has recently been a big fight among the young masters, so Hugo asks how many of the children died. Barrymore claims there weren't any casualties in the fight, but Highborough's teeth had been completely damaged. At the same time, Middleborough's jaw has been smashed in, and Lowborough's left index finger has been amputated. He continues and says the kids have recovered their health since they have been treated, but the psychological damage done to them seems very significant. Hugo wonders how the fight has started. He claims there is no way the Burrows would fight among themselves since they are so close. So Barrymore informs him that the fight was against another young master, and the person who had wounded the 3 young masters was a young master who is just 8 years old. He tells Hugo that it was Vicar who had injured his seniors, and he is the same one with the highest written score on the written examination. As a result of what he has heard, Hugo calls for Vicar, and Vicar goes to see him. Hugo welcomes Vicar, telling him that he has grown tremendously since the last time he saw him. Vicar greets Hugo and calls him Patriarch, and Hugo tells him that he heard Vicar had disabled the 9-year-old triplet in his senior class. Vicar replies to him that if he is referring to the brothers, he is sure the brothers have received proper treatment since the issue. So Hugo explains that he is not talking about the physical disabilities that he has inflicted on the brothers. He claims he is talking about the disability of the heart. He further explains that since the issue happened, the brothers have been eating separately, and now they don't even talk to each other anymore. Before, their combination techniques were quite decent, but now their relationship is completely torn apart. Vicar doesn't have anything to do, and Hugo asks him if he doesn't think he is wrong. Vicar wonders what he has done wrong, so Hugo claims he has turned his brothers into a total mess. Vicar doesn't believe what he has done is wrong. He tells Hugo that it's because he is stronger than them, and asks Hugo how a stronger person can be wrong. Hugo still doesn't think he is right. He tells Vicar that he has called the brother earlier and he has met with them, and they said they would forgive him, yet he doesn't feel any ounce of guilt. Thinking of the statement of forgiveness seems silly to Vicar. He wonders what they are forgiving him for. He remembers one of his old memories. He recalls the period the youngest daughter of a family which was ruined by the Baskerville clan came to visit Hugo. She had become a nun following that incident, and during her visit to Hugo, she told Hugo that she had forgiven him and offered a mass. Hugo's response after the mass was that he believes forgiveness is just an excuse made by the weak who cannot seek revenge due to their lack of strength. Vicar repeats the same words to Hugo, who says that only the strong will reign supreme and weakness is a sin. He tells Vicar that he understands their family motto very well. He calls Barrymore and asks him to allow Vicar to take whichever snack he wants from their food storage. He says he should allow Vicar to take just enough that he can